Hello and welcome to DoubleDFitness. I'm David Daniel. Today we're going to talk about the concept of the fat burning zone, or more like it, the misconception of the fat burning zone. For those of you who haven't heard about it, good for you, because in my opinion it's not really going to help you burn fat at all. If you are curious about it, then you can look it up on the net. There are plenty of sources. The fat burning zone theory basically tells you that you should do your cardio at a certain heart rate which will maximize the amount of fat that you burn. Basically it tells you that you shouldn't either go too fast or too slow in order to keep this heart rate to burn the maximum amount of fat. I hear about this all the time when people give tips on how to jog, run, or whatever kind of cardio that it may be. Now before we continue, let's talk about the most basic facts about burning fat. In order to lose fat or lose weight, we're going to need to have a caloric deficit in our diet. What that means is that we're going to need to burn more energy or calories than we input into our body. It makes sense and it's simple. Also, our body usually has two basic types of fuel, one being fat and the other being carbohydrates. And this brings us to our second fact, and that is that the higher the intensity cardio workout that we do, the more of that fuel which we are using is going to come from carbohydrates and less from fat. This means that when we are sprinting, which is a high intensity exercise, we're going to proportionally use more carbohydrates fuel than fat fuel than when we are walking, for example, which is of course a lower intensity workout. And this is where the misconception of the fat burning zone comes in. Just because in a lower intensity exercise we are proportionally, and this is the key word, proportionally using more fat than carbohydrates does not mean that we are burning more calories. In fact, we're burning less calories than in a higher intensity exercise. And if we go back to our first fact, the important thing to lose fat is to have a caloric deficit in our diet. You know, a friend of mine told me that I shouldn't jog too fast, because then I'll be out of the fat burning zone. But the thing is, if I lower the intensity, I'm going to be burning less calories. As long as what you input into your body is less than what you burn, you're going to be losing fat. If we think of a simple example of two identical people, one of them will walk for an hour and the other one will jog for an hour. Now the walker, of the fuel that he is using to walk, he will proportionally use more fat than the jogger. But the jogger, because he's doing a higher intensity exercise, he will burn more calories. Now at the end of the day, if they both eat the same thing, the jogger will be the one with a higher caloric deficit and will therefore burn more fat. The only people that might really need to use the fat burning concept are athletes which run marathons, for example, and they're going to need to know how many calories to eat before and when, at which stage of the race they are going to be using them, at a higher intensity stage or at a lower intensity stage. So unless you are one of these people, there's really no need to concentrate too much on the fat burning zone. You can also save a bit of money by not buying fancy heart rate equipment for this purpose. Personally, I would say if you are doing cardio, that's great. Keep doing it and do it at your own comfortable pace. As long as you fit it in with good nutrition, you're going to be doing fine. Thanks for watching.